a female that was found deceased. The investigators made a preliminary decision about who she was based on some identification that she had on her. They had our staff run the prints through AFIS. She was a completely different person than they originally thought at the beginning of their investigation. But at least now they knew who she was.
Hi, I'm Undersheriff Jesse Anderson with the King County Sheriff's Office. I am down at our AFIS lab in Renton, and AFIS stands for Automated Fingerprint Identification System. I'm here with AFIS Manager Mike Leahy. And what kind of services do you provide?
AFIS has several units. So the first thing we do is we're collecting fingerprints at the correctional facilities in King County. So we have people at those facilities that are printing inmates as they come in. And then we have staff that identify those prints to the database. We're trying to make sure that the people being arrested are the same people they said they were last time they were in jail. We also make sure that whatever is being reported to the state and FBI as crime information is accurate. We also have forensic units that go out into the scene, process for latent fingerprints at crime scenes, as well as work in this lab, processing items of evidence that have been submitted to us, looking for fingerprints on those items. And then we have people that search those prints through the database to try to determine who may have been involved in a crime. And then we report that out to investigators, and then they are able to use that in their investigation.
Tell me about how AFIS has evolved and changed over the years.
The field of fingerprints has changed quite a bit in the past 20 or 30 years. What used to be people going to filing cabinets and looking for fingerprint cards has become this great centralized computer that does much of our searching for us, takes those fingerprints, breaks it down, and searches it through all of the available fingerprints. So we're able to search much more people a lot faster. Forensic science in general has come under a lot of scrutiny over the past few years, and so the courts and the investigators are expecting the people doing that work to have a much more solid background in sciences.
Boyd, tell me about what you do for AFIS.
I'm a latent fingerprint examiner, and it's my job to go out to crime scenes and collect fingerprints for comparison later on, and also develop fingerprints within our crime lab.
Tell me about some of that field work that you do.
So the field work requires us to go out to scenes of crimes and follow along an officer or detective, kind of figure out what's happened at the scene, and then apply our expertise to figure out what are the best areas to collect fingerprints from. Once we get back to the lab, one of two things happens. We have either collected fingerprints themselves by applying black powder, putting them on a card, and then taking them back to compare, or we're asking the detectives or officers at the scene to collect various items to submit to the lab, where we would apply various chemicals. Fingerprints are comprised primarily of sweats, oils, and anything else that the fingers have come in contact with. Now, because they're left in various sweats and oils, we have different chemicals that tend to highlight the various chemicals within those. Sometimes we put chemicals that react with amino acids. Sometimes it's just the liquid itself. The easiest surfaces to get fingerprints off of are smooth surfaces that are non-porous. Glass, tables, basically anything shiny is a pretty good thing to get fingerprints off of. Paper works well also. The fingerprint sweats and the oils, they don't sink into the surface. During one crime itself, somebody actually left part of their fingerprint there. They cut their finger on glass and actually left their fingerprint at the scene.
That's not something you see every day.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Generally, we work several thousand cases a year, and it's fairly common for us to do work for the medical examiner's office. They will submit prints to us or have our staff go up to their office to print someone so that we can make sure that they know exactly who that person is. There was a body found that had been burned, conceivably beyond identification. The investigators felt like there was really no way that fingerprints were going to be able to be used to identify this body. They were going to have to wait probably several weeks for a DNA identification on the body. There was nothing left really to identify. They had our staff go to the medical examiner's office and see what they could do. And what they found is that the person who was lit on fire, as they were burning, their hands closed. And it preserved a very small area in the middle of the palm. So our staff was able to undo those fingerprints, find that very small area of unburned skin, and run that through our AFIS computer and make an identification on that body.
That's awesome. That's great.
I've really come to enjoy learning about photography while I've been here, and then I've taken that skill actually outside of the lab and pursued photography as a hobby outside of the lab. But that all started here. In addition, digital imaging too. A lot of our time is spent in front of a computer in Photoshop enhancing contrasts.
To hear these stories that we heard, fast turnaround with very limited information to be able to identify folks, that is just amazing. And I'm glad that I'm so proud to be able to work around such fine people in King County. So thank you for watching today, and we'll see you next time.